Let us engage on Big Tish, people. It's a story that if there's any cosmic justice or just justice in the world, Big Letitia James goes to jail. I'm sorry. I don't believe in the ordinary run of things that these types of fraud are sufficiently egregious to warrant jail time. I think like a stiff financial penalty would be sufficient. But Letitia James, she is such a vile specimen of a human because of what she did, try to do, and is still trying to do to Donald Trump. She might deserve it. You got to see also how they're framing this. We've got the document. We're going to go through the document. But before we get to the document, we got to see how propagandist news is reporting on it. Remember, people, always attack, never apologize, whatever the hell the expression is. Go attack. Letitia James is still trying to prosecute, or is still prosecuting Donald Trump. What do we have here? Axios, scum of the earth propaganda, has to write this. They have to describe Letitia is the victim. She's not the victimizer, everybody. Trump admin goes after New York Attorney General who won civil fraud trial against president. In the framing of the title, it's not that she's being accused of the very same fraud that she prosecuted Trump for, except she actually committed it. It's that she's the victim, and don't forget that Trump was found liable, guilty, whatever, of fraud in the biggest bullshit case you've ever heard. I hate her. Oh my goodness. New York Attorney Letitia James, yada. New York Attorney General Letitia James is accusing the Trump administration of weaponizing the government after a federal agency referred her for potential criminal prosecution for alleged mortgage fraud. Why it matters. It's the latest example of the administration following through on President Trump's pledges to seek retribution against his political rival. So hold on. Is he seeking retribution to their retribution, or was theirs justice and his is retribution? We're going to get it. We're going to refresh everybody's memory as to what the accusations were in that case. It's insane what Letitia James is alleged to have done. We'll get to the letter. Trump has already stripped security clearance from James, who is not facing any charges in relation to the criminal referral, and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who secured a historic conviction. It's amazing how they all get these historic convictions. It's great. State of play. Federal Housing Finance Agency. We don't need to read their credits. So they summarize it here, but she's the victim. Trump is the victimizer. What are they alleging? Let us pull up the letter, shall we? Letitia James is in big trouble, people. Big Tish in big trouble. And I have to say, it's the old confession through projection. It's absolutely incredible. They always accuse others of that of which they are guilty. The iron law of woke projection is going to land Big Tish in the big house. Lock her up after a fair trial, of course. This is what they're alleging. It's unbelievable. So we got the 3-page letter. We shared it on Locals, right? I'm sure we shared it on Locals. She is alleged to have lied about her primary residence, because everybody knows that for secondary residences where you don't spend all of your time, interest rates are higher, insurance rates are higher, because when you don't live in a house, you're not necessarily going to be there when the pipes break. And if it's a cottage, a second home, and the pipes break, and you don't realize until you get there a month later, there's a lot more of a chance that residence, that property, sustains serious damage in respect of the same odds of that happening to your primary residence, where if it happens, you're there and you call right away. She's alleged to have referred a Norfolk, Virginia, I think it's Virginia property as her primary residence because she was going to get better interest rates. Primary residence mortgages receive more favorable loan terms, including lower interest rates than secondary residence mortgages. Lenders view secondary residence mortgages as significantly riskier, as a borrower is more likely to continue paying off a primary residence mortgage during any financial hardship. Interest rates on secondary residence mortgages are typically between 0.25 and 0.5% higher than their primary residence counterparts. However, this gap can widen depending on the lender. At the time of the 2023 Norfolk, Virginia property purchase and mortgage, Ms. James was the sitting Attorney General of New York and is required by law to have her primary residence in the state of New York, even though her mortgage applications list her intent to have the Norfolk, Virginia property as her primary home. It appears Ms. James' property and mortgage-related misrepresentations may have continued to her recent 2023 Norfolk, Virginia property purchase in order to secure a lower interest rate and more favorable loan terms. Understand this, people. Let's go to the second one. What was this? The Lafayette, Brooklyn. January 26, 2001, certificate of occupancy. Oh, yes. This is the one where she lied about the size of a unit, how many rooms it had. Why would she lie about it? Why would she say that it's a 5-unit but only has 4 units? For another specific reason. January 26, 2001, certificate of occupancy lists the property as having 5 units. On February 14, 2001, Ms. Letitia James purchased this 5-family dwelling. Ms. James secured a confirming loan through the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac Form 3033. Conforming loans are only available on 4-unit or less structures. Spanning the last 2 decades, Ms. James has consistently misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in both building permit applications and numerous mortgage documents and applications. Conforming loans, or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac backed mortgages have favorable rates and terms to traditional private market mortgages for the explicit purpose of availability to lower and middle income borrowers. Conforming single family loans are subject to a cap of 4 dwellings per property. A building that exceeds 4 units must be treated as a multi-family property and typically has larger down payment requirements and higher interest rate terms, with interest rates between 0.75 and 1% higher due to lenders viewing multifamily loans as significantly riskier. What was the last part here? Analysis. Ms. James, for both properties listed above, appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. I'm going to give everybody this, and you can go look at it. And do you know what's absolutely amazing? Apply this mutatis mutandis to what Letitia James accused Trump of. Letitia James accused Trump of exaggerating about the size of his units by overstating their size. And why would he have done that? Because allegedly by overvaluating his assets, he would get more favorable loan terms from the banks. In fact, it's totally idiotic. By overstating the surface area, I mean, you'll get a greater purchase price, but every purchaser on earth is going to go measure it and make sure that they're getting what they're getting. In fact, when you overstate the value of your property, you pay more on insurance, you pay more on loans because you're getting a bigger loan, but at a more favorable rate, depending on how much you have to borrow. But she accused Trump of lying about the size of his properties when he exaggerated them to make them bigger. She lied, allegedly, exaggerated to make them smaller, so that they would be single-family units and not multifamily units. Now, you give people the benefit of the doubt, or you don't, but at least you got a devil's advocate steelman it. Maybe one of the 5 units is no longer a unit. Maybe they converted the 5th unit into something else so that it's actually a 4-unit and it wasn't a lie. Maybe she planned on using her Virginia property as her primary residence after her tenure as Attorney General. I have zero difficulty believing that Letitia James absolutely lied. And for what? Like, people are saying, well, my goodness, can you imagine lying and risking going to jail, risking everything for a lousy 0.75% to 1% interest? I mean, first of all, if you don't have a lot of money, it can represent a lot of money. What is that? 1% would be 10,000 on a million. I mean, that's a lot annually. So on the one hand, it could represent a lot of money, but on the other hand, when it comes to people's scoundrelness, it's not usually even a question of the money. It's a question of the principle. Like when you go and you're like, God, how much was the gas here? You filled up and it was $3.39 a gallon. You're like, oh God, it was $3.19 down the street. All right, whoop-de-doo. So 20 cents a gallon off 15 gallons. You lost 30 cents. It's not that. 20, it would be $3. You spent $3 more on it. There's nobody on earth, really. I mean, some people, you want to save. Oh, cripe. You want to save the money. But when it comes to things like that, more often, it's just a question of the principle. You want to make the right decision. You want to get the best deal possible, even if it's only a question of saving $3, half a Starbucks coffee, if you drink that crap. So with Letitia James, I have no doubt it's not about the money necessarily, although $10,000 on $1 million unit is something. It's just about the principle. I want the best deal. I'm Letitia James. I'm the damn Attorney General of New York. You're going to give me damn good rates, even if I have to lie about it on my applications. I hope they prosecute her ass hard. And I hope they punish her. I hope she gets impeached. I hope she gets stripped of her office. And I hope that she has to pay a stiff penalty or go serve 30 days. She is alleged to have done exactly what she alleges Trump did. The only difference is that Trump didn't do it. Trump allegedly overvalued his assets, allegedly to procure loans from the bank when the bank said we would have done it regardless. A dog crawling in the office here? Got 2 dogs in here now. No, get her. She's going to eat the food here. We got Pudge. She gets in here. She's going straight to the food. She hasn't even been here for 30 seconds. So that's Letitia James. I believe she's in big trouble. And good riddance to bad rubbish. And she definitely deserves everything that she gets in life. And hopefully she gets everything she deserves in life.